One normal day in the suburbs, Johanna wraps something in a sheet and throws it in the trash. Meanwhile, her daughter Claire is riding her bike around the neighborhood with her dog, Max. When Claire comes home, she looks for her mom and screams. When she finds out Johanna has taken her own life in the attic. Years later, teenage Claire wakes up from a dream about her mom's death. She rides her bike to school and stops to say hi to her Uncle August. When she turns her bike to help him get the newspaper, she almost gets hit by the popular mean girl, Darky, and her mean friends. They laugh at her when she crashes into some trash cans and scrapes her knee. At school, Claire sees her dad, Jonathan, dumpster diving with his friend Carl. She feels embarrassed and tells them to leave. Jonathan says they're not at the school but across the street, though Claire knows the students can still see them, and are whispering about it. Jonathan notices her scraped knee, and, when he hears she visited Uncle August, he scolds her because they're not supposed to talk to him. Claire ignores him and convinces him to leave. Later, Claire joins her friends, June and Meredith, to hang up a banner they made. A boy snaps a photo of Claire's backside, and Darky throws a drink at the banner, ruining it. Claire also feels sad when she sees her crush, Paul, has a new girlfriend. In class, Ryan tries to tell Claire he liked the banner, but she only cares about Paul. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Carl are dumpster diving at a cemetery. When Jonathan finds a beautiful old box, he can't open it but decides to keep it. At lunch, Claire and her friends make fun of Darky. Darky hears them laughing and confronts them in front of everyone. Claire says she called Darky the ultimate smegma, which is a groin secretion. Darky slaps Claire, and Claire slaps her back. Then Darky pushes Claire to the floor, but Claire gets up and tackles her, starting a fight on top of a table. The other students cheer and record the fight as the girls roll on the floor, not stopping. An adult pulls Claire away, and when Darky tries to attack again, Paul picks her up and carries her out of the cafeteria. When Claire gets home, Jonathan says he got her an early birthday present, but Claire doesn't seem excited. She finds the package on her bed and opens it to see the pretty box. It has some Chinese writing that Claire translates as 7 wishes, but she can't open it. Later, Claire finds out that Darky posted a video of their fight but didn't show how she started it, so everyone sides with Darky in the comments. Darky also posted a picture of Jonathan dumpster diving, and now people are calling Claire Garbage Girl. Remembering that the box said 7 wishes, Claire grabs it and wishes for Darky to go rot. Right then, she hears Max at the door and opens it, but Max refuses to come in and growls at the box. That night, while Claire is asleep, the box opens by itself and plays some music. Claire feels uncomfortable in her sleep but doesn't wake up, and the box closes on its own. After a sleepover with her friends, Darky wakes up and goes to the bathroom. She's shocked to see her legs are rotting. When she looks in the mirror, she screams as the rot spreads to her face. The noise wakes her friends, who quickly take pictures. Later at school, the photos go viral, and everyone makes fun of Darky. When Claire gets home, she takes a picture of the box, wanting to learn more about it. At that moment, she realizes she hasn't seen Max in a while. She goes looking for him and follows a noise under the deck. Suddenly, something falls, and Claire is horrified to see Max's body being eaten by rats. Later, Jonathan and Carl bury Max, and Claire cries because Max was a gift from her mother. The next day at school, Claire shows pictures of the box to her Chinese teacher to ask about the words she can't read. He tells her it's ancient Chinese, so she need to ask a scholar. Ryan overhears and says his cousin could help, but Claire turns him down. That evening, Claire makes a post remembering Max. She's interrupted by a message from Meredith telling her to check Paul's social media. After seeing Paul's photos, Claire grabs the box and wishes for Paul to fall madly in love with her. The next morning, Paul ignores his girlfriend and talks to Claire, while the box opens and plays its music. Uncle August is getting ready for a bath. Sadly, he slips, falls into the tub, hits his head, and dies. When Claire gets home, she sees August's death on the news, and Jonathan says, "Good riddance." Since the family hadn't talked to August for years, he doesn't think August left them anything. Claire tries to go to her room, but trips over stuff her dad brought home from dumpster diving. She yells at him for bringing trash into the house. Tired of being poor, Claire runs to her room, grabs the box, and wishes for August to leave her everything. Soon after, Jonathan gets a call saying August left his fortune to Claire. The family quickly moves into August's fancy house, and Claire gets a new phone and her own car. She goes shopping for nice clothes with her friends. They get makeovers and buy lots of snacks. Paul notices Claire's new look. That evening, Claire is shocked when the box opens and plays music. Meanwhile, Claire's former neighbor is using her garbage disposal and hears a strange noise from the machine. She turns it off to check, but doesn't see anything, so she turns it back on. Suddenly, her braid gets caught in the disposal. She can't reach the button to stop it, and the machine pulls her down until her scalp is torn off. Her neck hits the edge of the sink and breaks, killing her. The next day, Jonathan shows Claire some of Johanna's old paintings. Claire worries she might end up like her mum, but Jonathan promises to take care of her. Later, Claire finds Jonathan playing the saxophone, something he hadn't done since Johanna died. This shows he's trying to move on. That night, Claire keeps dreaming about the box. Suddenly, she wakes up and sees a shadow moving outside. She rushes out to check, but doesn't find anyone. The next day, Paul breaks up with his girlfriend and immediately asks Claire out, but she says she'll think about it. Later, Claire searches for the symbols from the box online but finds nothing. So she asks Ryan for help. On the way to meet his cousin, Ryan and Claire bond over memories from first grade and talk about their belief in the multiverse. They meet Ryan's cousin, Gina, who thinks the box looks like a Chinese wish pot. You're supposed to write your wish on paper, put it in the pot, and wait for it to come true. Gina translates the text and says the box grants 7 wishes and has rules. The person making the wish must touch the box, and if they get rid of the box, all the wishes will be undone. The box also has the name Lu Mei, so they search it online and find an old legend. In 1910, during the bubonic plague in China, Lu Mei's family was suspected of being infected and was quarantined in a train car. Lu Mei's whole family died from heat stroke and dehydration, except for her. Wanting revenge, she took the family's most valuable Itemo music box to a temple. She prayed for 7 days and 7 nights until a demon answered her. After that, Lu Mei became very rich, and all her enemies were defeated. 12 years later, she took her own life with opium. There are more sentences on the box. One part says something happens after the music ends, but Gina can't translate the rest. She takes pictures of the box and promises to contact a scholar friend. On her way home, Claire finds out Jonathan is still dumpster diving and yells at him, refusing to listen to his explanation. When she gets home, she grabs the box and wishes her dad wasn't so embarrassing. That night, Jonathan appears as a cool saxophone player, and June even finds him attractive. Meanwhile, Gina gets an email from her friend with the full translation of the box and realizes it's really disturbing. At that moment, the box opens and a storm causes the power to go out in her apartment. Gina goes to the balcony for better signal and leaves a message on Ryan's phone, saying the text on the box is freaking her out. Suddenly, the door slams shut behind her, and she drops her phone. When she goes back inside, it's dark, and she trips on the carpet, falling onto a bull statue. The horn stabs her, killing her instantly. The next morning, Ryan finds Gina's body and the translation. He rushes to school and tells Claire the rest of the text says the box requires a blood price. Ryan keeps asking if Claire has made any wishes, but she avoids answering. At lunch, Paul invites Claire to sit at his table, but the other popular kids hate seeing her there and leave. Later, an edited picture of Claire grabbing trash from a dumpster shows up on social media. When she gets home, she takes the box and wishes to become the most popular girl in school. That evening, Paul invites Claire to a party, and everyone claps. When she arrives, after dancing for a while, Paul and Claire kiss. That night, Claire dreams about her mother's death again, but this time the box appears in the dream too. When Claire wakes up, she sees someone outside recording her. She tries to chase the man, but he's too fast and escapes. Suddenly, someone appears behind her, but it's just her dad. When Claire tries to explain what's going on, she realizes everything started with the box, so she hides it in a vent. The next day, Claire visits her former neighbor. Nobody answers the door at Claire's former neighbor's house, but she smells something awful. Claire goes inside and is horrified to find the neighbor's body in the kitchen. Later at school, Claire sits with the popular kids but feels uncomfortable. She goes to find Meredith and June, who are upset that Claire has been ignoring them. Claire convinces them to listen and tells them about the deaths and the box, which she's chained up. Meredith thinks it's just a coincidence and calls Claire selfish for making silly wishes instead of wishing for something important, like curing cancer. After a short argument, June convinces Claire to get rid of the box. Claire goes outside to throw the box away, but when she hears Jonathan playing the saxophone, she changes her mind and decides to keep it. Later, at a party, Claire is kissing Paul in his car when she finds another woman's clothes. She checks Paul's phone and discovers a bunch of photos of herself, realizing he's the one who's been sneaking into her yard. Claire breaks up with him, but he refuses to accept it. At that moment, the box opens, and a decoration falls into a bonfire at the party. Meredith pulls June out of the way just in time to save her. Meanwhile, Jonathan is driving to a gig when his car gets a flat tire. While changing it, he's almost run over by two racing cars but manages to dodge them. Then, he accidentally kicks his spare tire, which hits another car and bounces back toward him. It almost decapitates him, but he dodges that too. After the party, the girls stay at a fancy hotel, and Claire confesses to June that she didn't get rid of the box. Meredith takes the elevator, but it suddenly stops, trapping her inside. The doors briefly open before the elevator drops at high speed. The cables snap, and the elevator crashes to the ground, killing Meredith. When the police arrive, June blames Claire for Meredith's death. At that moment, Ryan shows up and takes Claire to his house to share his research. Every person who owned the box lived a rich, successful life, but they were surrounded by death and eventually took their own lives in strange ways. Like one man who was found locked in a basement during a house fire. Their conversation is interrupted when Claire starts getting hundreds of texts from Paul, begging her to take him back. Claire has a breakdown, and Ryan yells at her when he hears she's made 5 wishes already. But he still agrees to help her destroy the box. They throw it into the fire and smash it with a hammer, but nothing works. Claire hides it in a vent again. That night, Claire wakes up from another nightmare to find Paul in her room with a knife. He says he can't live without her and uses the knife to prove it. Claire screams and calls an ambulance for Paul, who's quickly taken away. The next day, Claire discovers the box is missing. Just then, the police arrive and seize the fancy house and all the money because August never paid his taxes. The family moves back to their old house. Claire rides her bike to school again, and Jonathan returns. To dumpster diving. Darky, now healed, comes back to school and starts harassing Claire, causing her to have a breakdown in the bathroom. Later that morning, Claire finds out June has the box in her locker. June admits she stole it to protect everyone, but Claire is furious. She grabs the box and runs off. When June tries to stop her, they fight over the box, and Claire accidentally pushes June down the stairs, killing her. Ryan witnesses everything and chases after Claire, but she refuses to give up the box and ignores his warnings. At home, Claire starts to lose her mind. After crying for a while, she wishes that her mother had never self-deleted. Suddenly, Johanna appears in Claire's room as if she never left, and she has 2 more daughters. The family celebrates Claire's birthday and has a wonderful time together. But after the party, Claire notices one of Johanna's new paintings of the box. Claire realizes her mum must have used the box too, and her death was its fault. Suddenly, Claire hears the box's music again and sees Jonathan and Carl working outside. She rushes to warn them, but it's too late. Carl's ladder wobbles, and he slips, accidentally swinging the chainsaw down and decapitating Jonathan. While Johanna finds Jonathan's body, Claire runs upstairs and uses her last wish to go back to the morning Jonathan found the box. Time rewinds, and Claire wakes up with Max on her bed. She immediately calls Meredith and confirms she's alive. 2. Claire rushes outside and notices the neighbor has also been revived. Then she asks Jonathan and Carl to take her dumpster diving with them. This time, she's the one who finds the box and secretly hides it in her bag. At school, Claire asks Ryan to bury the bag without opening it. To thank him, she asks him out and kisses him. But as she tries to leave, Darky suddenly hits her with her car, instantly killing her. Sometime later, Ryan finishes digging the hole but gets curious about the bag. He opens it, sees the box, and reads the words, 7 wishes.